So Kash Patel and Dan Bongino speculate that Jeffrey Poopstein didn't unalive himself for years, and then they get in there, and they're like, nah, he did. Trust us. Bro, excuse me, what? First, I'd like to say I like these two guys, and I'd rather them in there than anybody else, but are we supposed to just be cool with this? And look, I hope they release more information, but I'm just not gonna bank on it because I've been getting disappointed by believing that for the last 120 days. But look, as far as I'm concerned, until I see a little bit more evidence that these guys are so sure of this, I'm not feeling good about them just being like, yeah, he did. Bro. Because what really bothers me is that these two guys that are objectively more connected to the highest halls of power than anybody in the general public, 99.9% of people, and they speculated about the validity of this story for years. And then they get into the halls of power, and in a couple of months, they're just like, nope, I'm certain of it. Certain of it, because to me, the real details of this case basically equates to lightning striking the same place 3 times. So according to the forensic pathologist, he breaks his hyoid bone, commonly associated with strangulation, as opposed to what they say he did. Multiple cameras near a high-profile inmate malfunctioned, or the camera footage was accidentally deleted or missing. 2 guards allegedly fell asleep for hours and then falsified records that they had been checking on him the whole time. Despite this being perhaps one of the most high-profile and interconnected to the halls of power all around the world inmates in recent U.S. history, he was placed in the often understaffed and dysfunctional correctional facility that he ended up not leaving. He was allegedly found unresponsive in his cell at 6:30 in the morning, and apparently rigor mortis had already set in, yet he wasn't declared actually dead until 90 minutes later at the hospital. No photos were taken of him in the position that he was allegedly in either, which would be protocol in that situation. The photos of the cell seemed pretty staged looking and kind of chaotic, especially if he was allegedly alone in there. And that's maybe half of the unsolved irregularities specifically around the end of life, not even considering all the rest. They tell us that when they get in there, they're going to release the photos around all of the sketchy things that occurred, and it's been over 100 whatever days, and we haven't seen that. And then both Kash and Bongino speculate about this death for years before they get in there, which seems highly credible considering the people they're connected to and ultimately the positions they ended up in. And then the best we get 120 days into the term is some interview on Fox News like, nah, he did it for sure. Bro, what do you mean though? And look, I want to make it clear, I'm going to give these guys more time. I like them. I'd rather them be in there than not. But if you give me 99 Italian clubs and 1 shit sandwich, you gave me a shit sandwich, dude. Look, I'm going to give it time. But if you helped theorize for multiple years that something was not as it seems, and then you get in there and the best you say is, nah, it is, we saw it. Bro, you got to do better than that, dude. Is anybody else with me on this? Like, am I crazy for thinking this way? Because, like, I know what people are going to say, like, oh, they're doing such great work with X, Y, and Z. And yes, I agree with that. But that comment just doesn't sit right with me. That's all.